It's an important few days for the economy, with two important events taking place in the first week of Parliament. The latest inflation data released tomorrow, expected to come in well above 6%. Then on Thursday, the Treasurer, Jim Chalmers, to deliver the economic statement to Parliament, laying out the state of the nation's accounts. For a closer look at both of those issues, I caught up with the head of Deloitte Access Economics, Pradeep Philip.
It's always interesting, Kieran, when you move from opposition to government and you start to see what the business of government is, when you look at the state of the books, it's always confronting for new governments. And I think the Treasurer and the government had said that they will be upfront with the people of Australia about the challenges that we confront. What will be interesting to see, though, will be how they analyse what are temporary issues versus what are more structural issues that the economy faces. And I would hope that we could see some of that, because that will tell us a little bit about what the agenda will be in the short term versus the long term. And we actually need that dual focus for our government, for our budget, for the economy, because the things we face are quite serious, quite structural, and we need to get onto that agenda now, because this is all about economic prosperity for Australians.
Are the challenges, just to pick up on that point about the temporary versus structural, are the challenges we're facing right now global issues in that sense? Inflation, rates, bottlenecks?
Kieran, a lot of what we're seeing in terms of headline issues are being driven by global factors. So we know that the Russian invasion of Ukraine has created an energy spike, and that's playing out in Europe, it's playing out in the US, and it's playing out here in Australia. But if we just look at that, we will miss the underlying structural things that were building even pre-COVID. COVID has kind of masked that, and we've become a bit complacent. So we need to deal with the competition and the investment and productivity issues that are already there in the Australian economy.
Pradeep, Philip, is it about laying the foundation, this economic statement by Treasurer Chalmers on Thursday, is it about laying the foundation for his first budget in October to set expectations?
Look, I think a large part of that is true. It will set the foundations for how we should look at that first budget, how we should assess it. But I think it does more than that. As you'd recall, the government came in with a mandate to lift productivity. But productivity is not easy and it takes time. And so what we should see this statement is doing is laying the foundations for reforms that will lift productivity, not just in this budget or this financial year, but in the years to come.
I know that you believe the climate response is an opportunity for Australia. Is it also important then that the government legislate its emissions reduction target?
Kieran, a good example of a structural issue. Legislating for the target lays a signpost. It creates a bit of certainty for business about where to invest, how to invest, gives some certainty for a period of time. But one of the things we should remember is that the target that they legislate should only be an interim target, because what we want to do is make sure we have the most efficient pathway towards net zero over the next 30 years. So we see that as a starting point to provide certainty for business, because the key that'll solve this problem is investment in the technology and operations that'll deliver net zero.
And you've explained to me previously some of the advantages, but for our viewers today, what are the competitive advantages Australia has in this space?
A couple of things. One is we're a country that is disproportionately negatively affected by climate change. So it's in our best interest to act for our own well-being. The second is what's going to power a new economy in 2050, a net zero economy, are the new minerals and the new energy, right, that the rest of the world needs. And we've got that in spades. And so, we could be the energy superpower for the world, creating jobs, income, especially in regional Australia, which we really need for our economy for the future.
Pradeep Philip, Head of Deloitte Access Economics, thanks so much.